Shoe therapy's in session. It's time for real talk and really good shoes. Hello, and welcome to an episode of Dinner for Shoes. Today's episode is a shoe therapy episode. Before we get into the alpha behind the shoes, I want to talk about how today's episode is really going to focus on, I'm wearing orange, Taylor Swift's recent quote that she said on the New Heights podcast that everyone is talking about. Everyone is memifying, which is great because I like it when people memify things that are actually meaningful. She says, think of your energy as a luxury. Your energy is expensive. Your energy is expensive. And I'm going to be applying that today to relationships, both romantic relationships and friendships. And I'm going to talk about in my life, the ways in which I've come to realize that my energy is expensive. And in time, there have been many, what did you just do? There have been many times where I have not thought of my energy as expensive. And that has led to issues. I'm going to talk about the ways in which I hope the people who are very close to me remember that their energy is expensive. And I really just loved Taylor, honestly, on that podcast. We don't get to see her candid and stripped back enough. And I think that that phrase that is literally going viral on the internet right now is very important to talk about. So I'm just going to apply it to the way that I understand it. I think everyone can interpret it differently. But we are reframing shoe therapy. So I've been thinking about it for pretty much like 12 hours. And it's not your guys' fault. It's totally my fault. I realized that we approached shoe therapy in the wrong way. Again, not your fault, my fault. So originally, for anyone who's watching this episode and hasn't seen all of the past Dinner for Shoes episodes, are you crazy? Catch up. Megan and I decided that shoe therapy should be kind of like me answering fashion questions, offering outfit advice. People could call in and be like, oh, I need something to wear to a wedding, whatever. No one called in once we started to promote this idea, which is fine. And we don't have like a huge following. We are seeing some growth, but whatever. No one called in. And on top of that, right, you called in, but only you. On top of that, I started to find videos of women on TikTok, basically like asking fashion questions, and I gave my fashion advice. But at the end of the day, shoe therapy kind of felt to me like writing a post, answering the questions of like, what's the best black shoes you can have? And like someone can just like read a post for that, right? Like what's the point of like throwing all of that information into a podcast? There really isn't much of a point. And so I was thinking about it last night and I got excited when thinking about doing an episode that allowed me to be very candid and talk about my experiences in life. And as much as I love talking about fashion, and we are still going to talk about fashion in every episode, I actually want to frame shoe therapy as like a therapy session, a quick little therapy session in a really sick outfit. In cute shoes, therapy in cool shoes. Of course, these shoe therapy episodes, when we have them, will still include the outfit behind the shoes. They may include a cocktail or mocktail. We'll get to that in a second. They may include that, but they're not going to include a dinner. Dinner for Shoes will include the dinner. But shoe therapy will be us talking about something that maybe it is something that someone said, that's a celebrity, that's in pop culture that everyone's talking about. Today's episode, spoiler, I'm wearing orange, spoiler. Or maybe it will literally just be like me shooting the shit and talking about things I'm stressed about. And maybe it will relate to something that someone else is going through, which is honestly like the reason why I write, the reason why I like to share my stories. I like to let other people know that they are not alone. It's my favorite thing in the world. So before we get into the alpha behind the shoes, I do want to talk about how I have these two fucked up yoga cats. This one's fucked up because the ear is chopped off just from dropping it so many times, like literally no other reason. And then this one, it keeps falling over. This is like a little ceramic yoga cat. It's yoga cat. Can you imagine you doing yoga? You would be so bad at yoga. This little yoga cat, it keeps falling, and I was like, why does it keep falling backwards? And then I realized like its tail is chipped off. So my two fucked up cats, the same way I don't have a thumb, and maybe that's a shoe therapy episode, the story of why my thumb doesn't work and looks like this. But I always like reference it, but we never really tell the whole story. So maybe that's a shoe therapy episode to come. Weigh in the comments if you want to know that story. But these are my two little fucked up yoga cats, and I'm going to keep them on the table as decor when we do a shoe therapy episode. Let's talk about the outfit behind the shoes, because this outfit obviously has little nods to Taylor, since this episode very much focuses on her quote. I'm sure someone told her that. I'm sure she didn't like actually make up "your energy is expensive," but right now, she's the one who has gotten it memeified, right? Okay, so I am wearing these Nina braided wooden platform peep toe sandals. These are such a great summer shoe. I actually got engaged in them. And that's kind of why I decided to wear them today. Not only are they very boho, and I feel like I'm leaning into a boho phase a little bit in my life, but they also, obviously are very meaningful since I got engaged in them in France. And I really do love Nina as a brand. I love the people who represent the brand and work for the brand. I love everything about it. And this is like a vintage style that they remade, and Taylor Swift loves vintage so much. It's very much inspiring her wardrobe, and her relationship with Travis Kelce has shown the ways, at least judging from that podcast episode, in which she has harbored her own energy. And this is kind of like an ode to her. I just slapped myself in the face with that. An ode to her and her relationship with Travis. And I'm going to kind of like apply the ways in which I feel like my relationship, it mimics what appears to be going on in theirs. And then this dress is an And Other Stories orange dress, bright orange, like the album. Let's put these guys here just because nothing else is going to go there once the shoes are off. The shoes are off and the shoes are on. Okay. And basically orange for the album. I can't wait for Taylor's new album, The Life of a Showgirl. And this And Other Stories dress is just very comfortable. It has the little mod 60s collar. It feels a little schoolgirl, which Taylor's style is totally schoolgirl inspired right now, especially on the podcast, at least her off-duty style, not the showgirl style, of course. And then I'm wearing my engagement ring. I am wearing my Gucci vintage watch. This was Grandma Phyllis's. I finally got it fixed after years and years and years of wearing it broken. So I think that is just kind of like symbolic of what I'm about to talk about today, and healing in general, and realizing that your energy is expensive. And my watch was expensive too. And then I'm also wearing my Astrid Miyu gold jewelry. It's a set. It comes with a ring and hoop earrings, and they have a little green gemstones because I wanted to bring in some green since Taylor's album colors are green and orange. You're welcome, Swifties. Okay. That's the outfit behind the shoes. As far as this goes, this could be a whole, I should let it kick in a little. I will say it's like a mocktail, but it's not a mocktail. There's no alcohol in it, but it is, it's by a brand called Brez. Their weed social tonic. I have been very much so cutting back on alcohol and instead experimenting with like upper style weed instead. And I really, really like that. And I'm trying this brand for the very first time on this podcast. So if everything goes to shit, that could be why, but I'm going to drink it slowly. And yeah, the cutting back on alcohol thing might be an episode for a different day of shoe therapy. But let's get into what I want to talk about and my reactions to that phrase, your energy is expensive. First, let's take a listen to how Taylor said it on the New Heights podcast.
Think of your energy as if it's expensive, as if it's like a luxury item. Not everyone can afford it. Like, not everyone has invested in you in order to be able to have the capital for you to care about this, right? Because like what you spend your energy on, that's the day.
Instead of reading notes off of my phone that I have put together based on whatever fashion topic it is that we're talking about on Dinner for Shoes, I decided that I'm going to do some writing before a shoe therapy episode. Writing is therapeutic for me. Writing is therapeutic for a lot of people. And it kind of helps me put my ideas together. And maybe sometimes I'll write something that I want to read out loud. Today we are talking about how your energy is expensive, friendship-wise and romantic relationship-wise, in a cute outfit for shoe therapy. And what I want to say that I wrote, and I went 4 pages on before I realized that like, oh, this is why I don't like to handwrite anymore. While I do enjoy it at first and the handwriting looks good at first, I hate when it gets really sloppy and my wrist starts to hurt. Like, how did we do this growing up? I don't know. But so I went on and on and on. And then my ideas kind of became a little bit more fragmented. So I'm going to stop reading when I feel like it's getting to be like, what the fuck were you writing, Sarah? But this is my initial response and how I want to start off, and then we'll see where it inspires me to go. Okay, when it comes down to it, I think most of us spend the most energy on love, which for me extends to both friendships and romantic relationships. I know for a fact that there have been just as many hours in my life spent anxious and worried about a girlfriend being mad at me as there have hours worried about some guy who wasn't going to text me back. The reason why, for me, this quote is all about relationships is because I really believe everyone's goal in life is love in all forms. Everything else, money, travel, food, clothes, careers, tangible possessions of any kind are just driving factors, I believe. Anyway, breaking up with friends, girlfriends, is very hard. Anyone who knows me knows that I value sisterhood on an equal playing field with romantic love. And I'm not sure why that is, because a lot of people in my life, I've had women and good friends tell me that that's not the way it should be, that romantic love should come first. But I think maybe the reason why I do value sisterhood so much is because my girlfriends have really had me in some of my hardest, darkest, deepest moments. I have experienced trauma that they have helped lift me out of and reminded me like who I am. And on top of that, I just think that, like I said earlier, I've spent just as much time thinking about my relationships with my girlfriends and my sisterhood relationships as I have on romantic love. And that's the truth. So because of that, I think we're going to start with friendships and then we're going to go on to romantic love. And I'm going to apply the "your energy is expensive" quote to both. And I'm going to talk about my... I will not name any names. We'll keep it anonymous, but I'm going to talk about some situations in my life and hope that it relates to others. Now, your energy is expensive when it comes to friendships. First, I'm going to talk about a friendship that I got into when for anyone who doesn't know, I was previously engaged and I had a very long 8-year relationship. And during that time, right before the relationship ended, I moved to Indiana. I had planned an entire wedding with this person. And when I moved to Indiana, I made some really good friends there. So I was very grateful for that time. But when I came back, coming back when so many of my other friends who I had left behind were moving forward in their lives, but I had to start all over again, was very, very difficult. And while there were girlfriends who continued to lift me up and like remind me of who I was, and they were there for me through thick and thin, like always checking in on me, I also needed people who were single and going through the single in your 30s, because I had just turned 30, like lifestyle, honestly. And this is maybe for the alcohol episode, I was drinking too much. I was, dealing with my trauma in a way that was probably really unhealthy, as a lot of fucking people do. Like, let's cut ourselves some slack. Most people who go through trauma end up taking it out in not such a great way in their lives and like having a reaction that maybe they won't be proud of later on, right? Now, during that time, I ended up meeting someone and she seemed to be really great in the beginning. And she liked to do all the things that I like to do. And she liked to like dress up and feel sexy and go out. And we were both single and it was fun at first. And within the course of a year, I realized that this person had her own shit that she really had to deal with, and she had trauma too, and that is like not her fault, but she needed to metabolize some of it. And I think that because of that, the way she treated me was not the kind of love that I was like trying to foster in my life at that point. Like I was doing a lot of work on myself. Like even though I was probably behaving in a way that reflected, oh, this person went through trauma, I was in therapy. I was like doing the work to get me to like where I eventually was within that year. And so that year was like really, really intense for me, and a lot of different friendships. People came and went. And this one person was really putting me down in the way that my ex, who was abusive, did. And it was very subtle at first. And then there were moments where, I'll give one example, like we were out to dinner, and I love looking at menus before like I go out to eat somewhere. Trish, do not step on that. Just come be next to me. Come be next to me when I'm talking, being vulnerable. She's gonna step on the microphone. And we were at dinner, and I love looking at menus like before we go out to dinner. And like I was like, oh well, like I want to just look at the menu. I want to see what like this dish looks like before we order it. And she's just like, girl, why do you always do that? Like, why are you always looking at the fucking menu? Like, just order something. Like, why can't you just, like, kind of like making me feel dumb and stupid and silly. And that was something that I was really, really in tune to because of my past trauma. I was put down in way worse ways by my ex than that, but it was triggering to me. I felt like she was like making fun of me a little bit, which was definitely triggering. Like, I had been out to so many dinners with my ex where I felt like I was put down and like made to look like an idiot or stupid. And I knew that I wasn't. And this continued to happen. And then we started to hang out with a third person. We were just hanging out a little bit, and she started to do it in front of this other person. And I was just like, you know what? My energy is too fucking expensive for this. But I ended that friendship. And that was one of the first friendships that I willingly ended on my own. And afterwards, I felt, and now at the same time I was meeting Nick, and he was really like lifting me up, but I felt really good about it, about ending that friendship. And I just think that that is something that and that's one example that I'm going to give, but something that we need to be really mindful of. If the person who you are spending time with is making you feel nervous, embarrassed, stupid, triggered during your time with them, your energy should not be spent on that person. And it really sucks when you like certain things about someone and then you have to completely remove them entirely from your life. But it's necessary. And I think Taylor was kind of saying that in saying your energy is expensive. And on top of that, there were some friends who have been lifelong friends that when I was going through my trauma and I was really not doing well and I was like behaving in ways that I wasn't proud of, they didn't have the grace to give me, and they felt like I was too needy or asking for too much or too problematic. I don't know, but they couldn't be there for me. And my friendships have faded with certain people because they were not there for me. And that is their choice, right? And that's, maybe they felt like their energy was too expensive for me. But there were so many friends in my life who, and they all know who they are, that like stayed there with me through thick and thin and told me what they needed from me and set boundaries if necessary, but were my girls and got me. So that is what I'm going to say about energy being expensive when it comes to friendships. Maybe you can relate. Romantic love. Now, let's get a little high for this. No, this is like intense. Brez, like I like this flavor, but it has like the back taste of weed a little bit, which I don't love. I don't like smoke weed, so I don't, just a little, like smells like funky, you know that funk? Romantic love. Okay. Two of my best friends in the world right now are single, and they both want to be in a relationship. They very much like are looking for love. And what's so crazy to me is that what I preached to them, I did not practice during that year of my life when I was dating and I was single. There were so many times when I think I wrote it down. The anxiety, this is how I described it. The anxiety of being reminded you're still waiting for a text back. That shock to the heart every time you remember that you're still waiting for the text back. That expends so much energy. So much energy. And I know like Taylor Swift was really talking about it, which I probably should have said this in the beginning, but in a sense of how she deals with all the media attention around her and what people say about her relationship with Travis or her relationships with people in general, with her friends, with anyone, who she's with, like who she's seeing, who she's going out with or not going out with. But I think that I am taking it to, like, I'm really bringing it into my personal life. And I remember so much energy expended focused on whether or not these asshole guys who probably just wanted to have sex were gonna text me back. And there were times where I got so emotional about them not texting me back. I was clearly not in a good headspace. But it's so easy to fall into this trap when you really want love and you want a partner and you're lonely, that I made my one best friend almost scared to leave me because I was crying so much and I was so upset over this fucking guy that wouldn't text me back. No. And I say this to now my two best friends all the time. And this maybe corny and you've probably heard it before, but it is what I go by. If the person you are talking to romantically is making you feel that anxiety, that major shock to your system every time you remember, oh my God, that person hasn't texted me back. Oh my God, that person probably doesn't feel the same way that I feel about them, which you probably just feel attracted to the person, by the way, and you want a relationship. If that person is making you feel that way, that is not someone you want in your life. Now that I am with Nick never made me feel that way. And maybe this is a conversation for another episode about how I fell in love with Nick, but there was never ever a moment where I was worried that he wasn't gonna text me back. When I started dating him, I had actually just deleted the dating apps and I was kind of ready to be single for a while. I was in a place where I was actually doing really well and really practicing a lot of self-love. And I was you know what? I don't need to be talking to a guy. I'm fine. And the day after I deleted the dating apps and got to that place in my life, I ended up meeting him, which is funny. But I think it speaks to the fact that once you learn where to focus your energy and just how expensive your energy is, and you don't let your energy be cheap, that's when you're going to attract the kind of love that you deserve. And it sounds super corny, but it's super true. And yeah, I mean, that is definitely when I was ready for a relationship. So when I started dating Nick, I never remember feeling oh, he may not text me back. I was surprised when he did. I was definitely surprised because I was oh, I kind of felt this was the last one. And if it didn't work out with him, then I was just going to be alone for a little. And I'd already had that in my mind that I was going to be alone for a little and that it probably wouldn't work out with the next guy who took me out on a date. And so it just flowed very naturally. And Nick also wasn't a texter. He would text me, make the date for the next weekend, and then we would see each other on the date. And then right after the date, the next day, he would text me and say he had fun. And do I want to go out again on Friday? And I'll see you on Friday. There was no texting in between. And I'm also not a big texter like that. So it ended up being okay, but everyone's different. And one of my friends loves texting and wants to know what the other person is doing if she really likes them. But if they're not texting her back, if they're not checking in with her the way that she wants to be checked in with, and she doesn't even feel comfortable telling them that that's what she wants or needs, then that means that they're definitely not fucking ready for a relationship. And of course, they're not going to be ready for one with her if they're not ready at all. And the negativity that you feel when you are waiting for that tug on the other end of the string that doesn't seem to come is you are wasting energy on waiting. You're wasting energy on waiting. Now, I will say, just to finish this shoe therapy episode, I did wonder while watching Taylor and Travis together if Taylor had always been this mentally in tune with herself and with her energy, or if Travis kind of made her realize this a little bit, because it's very obvious to me, and I think to a lot of people who watch the podcast, that like he really loves her. The way he talks about her in interviews, the way he admires her and respects her is so obvious. And I just wonder if like her being with someone who appreciates her like that allowed her to learn all of this that she's now like preaching on the podcast and get to the place where she is. Because I don't think, judging on her music and her stories that she's told through her songs, she's had someone who's loved her and appreciated her this much in her life before. I mean, I know I hadn't until Nick. So Nick just cleared his throat and it threw me off. It's so true that when someone loves you for exactly who you are, and I wrote this down, which is why I'm reading, you want to show the world even more of you. So I'm going to end on this like corny note and say that Nick is the one who kind of like inspired me and told me that I should launch a podcast in the first place. He suggested it. I spent so much time cheapening my energy in my last relationship. I put so much energy into like walking on the eggshells to make sure that that person was happy. And now I feel like if I spend energy at all, it's literally like on work and on this podcast, all of which Nick told me I should do to like shine my light brighter, because he loved all of the things about me that were put down or made fun of or cheapened previously. And because of that, like I am here doing this and like sharing my experience. So it just goes to show you that Taylor's right about everything. And I'm so excited for the new album. Let's go. No, but honestly, like this was really fun. This was the first time I ever did this and kind of like made it a therapy session and talked about like shit women care about instead of talking about just fashion, even though we definitely talk about very important fashion topics on Dinner for Shoes, and I don't want to cheapen that. That shit's expensive too. That energy is expensive too. I like it. Okay. But yes, welcome to the new shoe therapy. And at least you got to see the cats today. Bye.